What's going on, guys? It's Bear here with the Scryguystv, and today we are doing one of the early previews of the commanders from Bloomburrow. Let's get into it. We have Glarb, Calamity's Augur for Sultai, legendary creature, frog, wizard, noble, death touch. You may look at the top of your library at any time. You may play lands and cast spells with mana value 4 or greater from the top of your library, and then you can tap it to Surveil 2. It is a 2/4. Now, there's, I believe, probably plenty of ways that you can really go about this commander, but we're sticking to about $110 budget. Without including the price of the commander. So I just really went toolbox with it. I think it's toolbox is always a fun way to just build decks, just to play a lot of pet cards. The way I did it was kind of just, it's a fun way to play Sultai, for me at least. And I think the ability to sort of thin out your deck, trying to chuck lands or chuck whatever you need to in the graveyard to be able to maybe get it back later. We do have a way to really take advantage of the tap ability and playing any kind of spells mana 4 or greater as well. So let's get into it. Off the top of the dome.
Off the dome!
Yeah, you didn't know Glarb's a rapper. Really wanted to take advantage of evoke creatures, because evoke creatures CMCs are usually pretty high up there, but then you could evoke them for 2, 3. I believe there's a red one that's for 1 mana as well. And so being able to use these on the top of the top of the library is going to be really great, because one, it's like a cost reduction, and then 2, we have a card in here that's going to be pretty good against being able to recur all of our evoke creatures. And funny thing is, it's not even it's not optional to not do that card. You have to do it. So it'll also help us to not deck out. So we're also going to be taking advantage of cards when we're playing cards off the top. The 13th Doctor is going to allow us to buff up our creatures, but also give them a untap at the end step. We have Urtai Resurrected, which is more just like as a counter spell. So it's great that it has flash, and it can counter target spells, activated abilities, or triggered abilities, or destroy a creature or a planeswalker. You do give your opponent a card draw, but I believe that's kind of fair when you're stopping somebody from getting protection from the One Ring for a turn, because that can matter sometimes. And then we also have a little backup commander here, the Reality Ship, which also allows us to play lands and play spells from the top of our library, as long as it is attached to a creature. Now we have Soothsaying. Soothsaying is going to be our budget version of Scroll Rack. We have Haunted Crossroads, which is going to be able to give us the ability to put creatures from our graveyard to the top of our library, in turn letting us play those cards again. Like I said, like with Mole Drifter or Null Drifter, the new one, the new 7 mana one, that's 3 as well. But Mortuary is the card that I'm talking about. Whenever a creature is put into your graveyard from play, put that creature on top of your library. If you go in the rules text, it is not optional. You have to put it on top. So the only thing that kind of gets around it is your commander going back into the command zone, or someone just instant speed removes the card that's going back to the top of the library. But Mortuary is a really cool card. I'm always trying to fit it into decks, and this, I believe, is probably the perfect deck. Being able to give you the ability to recast Mole Drifter over and over again for 3 mana is really cool. We have Savvy Trader. 3 in a green. When it enters the battlefield, exile target permanent from your graveyard. You may play it for as long as it remains exiled. Spells you cast from anywhere other than your hand cost 1 less, so it's giving us a cost reduction from the spells on the top of our library. Same with Sage of the Beyond, which I believe came in the Azorius deck. Oh wait, no. Yeah, I think this is just a reprint that I have on screen. I think it came from the Azorius deck when Fortell first came out in Kaldheim, but this one's cool. So you foretell it for 2, play it for 5, and then spells you cast from anywhere costs other than your hand costs 2 less to cast. So now our mortuary costs 1 in a black. Our guardian project costs 1 in a green. So just a nice way for us to kind of just give us a cost reduction. Again, we're putting things in the bin, so we're gonna have to try to take advantage of that as well. So we have cards like Raul, Troubleshooter 1, and Demir. Once during each of your turn, you may cast a spell from among the cards in your graveyard that were milled this turn, and it has the ability to tap itself to mill something. We have 6 for Modern Horizons 3, which is going to give all of our stuff retrace as long as it's our turn. And then we have Tato Farmer 2 in a green landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may get 2 red counters, and then you can tap it. You may put 2 land cards in a graveyard that was milled this turn onto the battlefield under your control tapped. We don't really have to get the 2 red counters because our commander has Surveil itself. So sometimes you want being able to control when you're going to mill things is really important. So we also have things that's going to let us play from our graveyard as well. Kaga, Shadow Archdruid. Whenever it attacks, it gains that touch until end of turn. You mill 2 cards. Once during each of your turns, you may play a land or cast a permanent spell from among the cards in your graveyard that were put there this turn. So you don't even have to attack with it. Like I said, our commander has Surveil, so we just tap her. We mill a couple things, and then with her out, we get to play those from the graveyard as well. Master Transcendent, 1 in Sultai, legendary creature artifact creature. When it enters the battlefield, target player gets 2 rad counters, and then you can tap, put a target creature in a graveyard that was milled this turn onto the battlefield under your control. It's a green mutant with base power 3/3, so it's a great way for us to sort of cheat bigger creatures onto the battlefield without having to do it. Like, say we have a Muldrotha in the graveyard, we go ahead and tap it. Now we have a 3/3 Muldrotha, and then now we can cast the Muldrotha that was put into the graveyard if we want the permanent one. You know what I mean? So yeah. Oh no, sorry, no, it's a 3/3. Okay, so it's no longer in the graveyard. You guys know what I mean, though. But it's a great way for us to cheat more bigger creatures into the battlefield. They're gonna be 3/3s, but really you want them for the effect. So it's great. And then Muldrotha, the Gravetide, obviously probably the greatest graveyard commander ever printed. If it got instants and sorceries as well, I think it would just be too broken. But I had to put that in there. Lands do matter because since we do get to play lands off the top of our our library, we have a fair amount of lands. I believe I had 36 on the list, 2 modals. So we're gonna be looking at cards like Wayward Swordtooth that's gonna allow us to play extra lands. Tireless Provisioner, which is gonna give us treasures or food. You never know what you need. And then Splendid Reclamation is a great way for us to just get a burst of lands onto the battlefield. That way we set up for the next turn to hopefully win. We have Tatyova Benthic Druid, which is gonna give us card draw and gain life. And then the Gitrog Monster is probably the most expensive card in this deck, just allowing us again to play extra lands and then draw cards for every time a land hits the graveyard from anywhere. And my favorite card in this whole deck is going to be Enhanced Surveillance, 1 in a blue enchantment. You may look at an additional 2 cards each time you surveil, exile it, and you can shuffle your library into your graveyard. So essentially somebody has to correct me on this, but Surveil 2, so that means we get to look at 4. But if not, if it's just an extra card or something, let me know. I didn't get clarification on this just because I didn't know if it counts like Surveil 1, Surveil 2, how many do you get to look at? But being able to dig extra deep into your library is always a good thing, and because we're such a graveyard focus and top of the library focus type of deck, that like we could bin all 4 and then just look at a fresh new one, top card or something like that. And then also being able to exile it and shuffle your graveyard into your library is great. It saves us from being decked out or something like that. And we gotta have lines to close out this game, so I kind of just went with a classic that I used to have in just my other Sultai decks. So yeah, we have Archaeomancer, Peregrine Drake, and the Ghostly Flicker combo, which is gonna give us the infinite manas and everything. And then we also have Seer, Gray Merchant of Asphodel, and then Mortuary. I mean, if you have all six, this is a really like some of these combos are just kind of like it kind of like, all right, Peregrine Drake, all right, you have unlimited, you have whatever, however much mana you want to produce, but if you don't have ways to draw your cards out, it doesn't matter. Seer is nice with the Gray Merchant. If we have all six of these, then yeah, we definitely just win the game right there. We also have cards like Panharmonicon, which is going to just double up on all of our triggers. But these are just some of the lines that I kind of went with, just because, you know, Sultai, I didn't know which way to go to. I didn't want to go like full Spell Slinger, because then that just goes into like wanting to do like demonic fish combos or something like that, or I just kind of went the classic route. This is a much more toolbox type of deck, so definitely you can, it's so easy for you to just like take this deck list and then kind of take things out that you want, that you don't want, and really fit it to your play style, your group's play style, and how you guys like to have fun. Me, this is how I like to have fun. You know, it's super, and like the fact of the matter is, it's really easy to disrupt. So it's not like, you know, it's not like a 100% success rate if you get all these cards out, because someone could, you know, pat to exile the Gray Merchant. Then you're like, okay, well, I can't do that anymore. Same with the Peregrine Drake or something like that. So yeah, this is the sort of direction that I went with Glarb, Calamity's Augur. I mean, I originally didn't want to build another Sultai deck, because I think I just, in real life, I've built like 3 or 4 in the last month or so. But I kind of had to do it for this guy, just because I love the art for this so much. It reminds me of Ben Wyatt from Parks and Rec, when Amy Poehler's character got him the Iron Throne, and he was just like, come here, the peasant. Oh man, so I hope you guys appreciate it, or I hope you guys like the deck tech. If you guys don't, man, I'm sorry, yeah, again, we always appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for subscribing. We hope you guys have a nice day. What cards are you looking forward to in Bloomborough? And yeah, let us know all that down in the comments. If you guys have any suggestions, please let us know, and have a good one.